So yeah, my reaction to the Evander Holyfield Vitor Belfort fight, I agree with Bernard Hopkins. It's not easy to say, but it was embarrassing to watch, and I just can't believe that that boxing organisation would sanction a fight of someone who's 58. And you see, the problem is when people start saying age is just a number. And I've always agreed with that to a certain extent, but when it comes to fighting and boxing and risking your life, age isn't just a number. Because if age was just a number, then a 75-year-old and 80-year-old could get in and have a fight with a 25-year-old, and it's just not being intelligent. And I just think it's selfish that whoever's involved and people that are encouraging Holyfield to fight at 58 years of age. And it's heartbreaking because Holyfield is one of the most respected boxers in the sport. Anywhere you go, when you talk about boxing or heavyweight boxing, Evander Holyfield's name will always come up. Someone that I've always loved and respected, and he's a good person. So I'm not knocking Holyfield, no one is. It's just because we care. There are certain things I think that you do have to speak out against and say, this is not right. So I didn't pay for the fight, I didn't watch it. Obviously I saw the highlights the next day. It's a bit hard not to watch it, it's all over the internet. And it was just, to be honest, that's what I expected. I mean, how can you put a 58-year-old in with a guy who's 44? Now 44 is still relatively really young. I mean, 44 is old in boxing terms, but 44 you're still a young man, you can do a lot of damage. Now obviously Vitor, he's one of my favourite fighters in the UFC, but he would never have beaten Holyfield in his prime. But that's not the point. So this is something I'm never going to watch again. If they do any of these sort of fights where a boxer is too old and he's risking his health, and it's true what Hopkins said. It was embarrassing. Holyfield, that wasn't him, and it did look like a young man beating up on an old man who couldn't fight back, couldn't defend himself, and thank God the referee stopped it. And he's all right, but it was uncomfortable, man. It's uncomfortable to watch. I didn't agree as well. Everybody was saying, well, not everybody, but people were saying online, and there were clickbaiting titles saying Holyfield looks great in training, and I didn't think he looked great. I didn't think people were being honest. I thought he looked slow. He didn't look, and you wouldn't expect him to look the way he looked when he was in his 30s, or even late 30s, in his 20s, in his prime. So it's dangerous. It's not worth it. I mean, obviously, good luck to Holyfield. I think he made $5 million. He deserves all the money. But surely there's an easier way for him to make money. If he needs money, I don't know what his situation is, but it just wasn't right. And I mean, if it was just like a light-hearted exhibition where they weren't really going at it, but it was a real fight. And Vitor Belfort is a devastating puncher. He's got one of the highest knockout rates in the UFC, and Vitor Belfort's always had a background in boxing. So when they said Holyfield was stepping in, I just thought, this is suicide. This is crazy. He could get. See, what if he got killed? What if he lost his life? Would people just be saying age is just a number? So listen, with anything else, age is just a number, because most other things, pursuing your dreams, being successful in business or getting in shape, but when it comes to getting in the ring and fighting, no, age is not just a number, because it's almost bullying. Anyone with any decency and integrity, a young person, you wouldn't hit an old person, right? And yeah, I'm not going to watch it. I just don't really resonate with the thriller, the whole platform and the whole energy behind it. I don't like it, and I really did agree with Hopkins. It does look bad on the sport of boxing, because there's a lot of fans who don't really understand the sport of boxing. They don't know what a legend Holyfield was, and they're just going to think, oh, a UFC fighter went in and beat a legend, where really it's almost on paper, yeah, Vitor Belfort has beaten Holyfield, but he didn't really beat Holyfield, because it's like someone saying, when Floyd Mayweather is 70, get Mayweather in the ring with anybody who's 20, and they say, oh, and then he could knock him out and say, oh, he beat Mayweather. He didn't beat the prime of Evander Holyfield, and Evander Holyfield is almost 60. It's too old, man. He's too old to be getting in the ring with someone who's 44. The people who support that, as far as I'm concerned, should be ashamed of themselves, because you're risking someone's life. He could have died, and you could see that he hasn't got it no more. He can't defend himself. It was horrible to watch. I didn't enjoy any of it, to be honest, and I wouldn't have wanted to see a second more. And a legend like Holyfield, like I said, someone who's one of the most respected boxers in boxing, probably goes down in history as the best cruiserweight of all time, or one of the best. Him and Usyk would be some. I'd probably have to give it to Holyfield because of moving up to heavyweight and, you know, beating Mike Tyson twice, and the fights that he was in, he fought everyone. He was just such a warrior. So horrible to see, sad, and I was worried. I was genuinely worried for his life, and I started seeing, you know, that he couldn't defend himself. That's not right, man. That fight should never have happened. Whoever's around him saying yes, that's not in my opinion, that's not a real good friend. Someone who really cares. And, you know, there's a distinction between not stopping someone from living their dreams and, you know, not putting age on things. And I agree. I've done a video on ageism and saying that you should never let, you know, anybody tell you that you're too old to do anything. But of course there are limits. There is a certain age where you're too old to get into the octagon or into the boxing ring and fight with someone who is a lot younger than you, a lot stronger than you at this point. And like I said, we all know deep down that Vitor Belfort would never have beaten the real Evander Holyfield in his prime, even though Beltor's a brilliant fighter, but it just wasn't fair. Now, De La Hoya, that's fine, because De La Hoya's 48, and 48 is not 58. You know, that's 10 years younger, and it's a lot younger. You can see Holyfield's older. And just because someone's body looks good, because he's in fantastic shape for any age, that doesn't equal going into a boxing ring and having a real fight. I just can't believe they've done that. An exhibition where they're just mucking around, you know, that wasn't an exhibition. That was a brutal fight, and Holyfield got knocked out. He got stopped. It wasn't fun. I'm not going to support that. I don't care how many people disagree. I'm not going to pay for that. I'm not going to support it. And I just think it's criminal. These people should be ashamed that they're willing to risk a man's life who's too old in order to fill their pockets of money. It's greed, man. It's not right. It's not right at all. And, you know, the difference with someone like, when George Foreman came back, George Foreman was 45. So again, it's a lot younger, and he was able to do it, and he could defend himself and fight, and he won the heavyweight title again. He regained it, if I remember. He beat Michael Moorer. But it's different, you know. It's too old, man. There should be a limit of age. Yeah, age is just a number, but not when boxing's concerned. You know, if people are saying Pacquiao's past it now and he should retire and he's going to be 43, what the hell is Evander Holyfield doing fighting at age 58? And not even someone his own age, which I still wouldn't agree with, but getting in with a real dangerous, brutal puncher in Vitor Belfort, who's 44, who's a lot younger. So don't ever want to see a fight like that again. Don't want to see boxers coming out of retirement, you know, 10, 15, 20 years later when they're, you know, close to being retirement, you know, it's not far off being a pensioner. It's just crazy. It's not, I mean, anybody who wants to see that is, I think, sick. It's not right. I didn't agree with it personally, so I'm not going to support it. And I hope that they don't do anything like this again, because someone could die, someone could lose their life. Obviously, fighters risk their life going in the ring anyway, but when you're older, you're much more at risk. So that was me personally. I wouldn't want my dad or granddad or uncle or friend at that age to be going in the ring. And I'm kind of shocked, because if I'm being honest, when they said, you know, obviously De La Hoya couldn't fight because of COVID and Evander Holyfield was a replacement, I honestly thought that it wasn't going to be like a proper fight. They were just going to spar. It was just going to be like, you know, like a lot of the things you've seen Chavez doing when they've got a head guard on. They didn't even have head guards on. It was a real fight. Crazy, absolutely crazy. I couldn't believe it actually. But yeah, in my mind I was thinking they're not going to do a real fight, but if they do, Holyfield's probably going to lose. Not because Holyfield's not good enough, or it's because he's too old. It's facts. You know, we all have a biological clock, and if it wasn't the case, then there'll be 58-year-olds and 60 and 70 and 80 and 90-year-olds, and there's not. They're not. They can't do it at that age. They're not world champions. So, and look, if you're going to put Holyfield in, then put him in with someone easier that he could have beaten and not got hurt. And he could have also seriously hurt someone. So it was evident that it just weren't right. It didn't have balance. Everything Hopkins said, I agree. It was embarrassing for boxing, and it's more importantly than being embarrassing and devaluing the sport of boxing. The most important thing is Holyfield's his health. You know, I don't like any part of it. But let me know your thoughts in the box below. What you guys and girls, what you think about it. And yeah, you know, that's the worst rationalisation, because you can use that. You can say, well, age is just a number. Put a 70-year-old in with, we're going to put a 70-year-old in with Canelo. Canelo could kill him, and say, oh, age is, you know, no. Yeah, age is just a number in most things in life. You're never too old to go to university. You're never too old to start a business. You're never too old to find love. You're never too old to make friends. You're never too old to do YouTube. You're never too old to do some sports, but not competitive fighting sports. There is a certain age where you're too old to do boxing. You're too old to do UFC or any full contact sport, because you can die and get killed.